Top 10 Martial Arts Movies by Shaw Brothers Studios. Sir Run Run Shaw is a special name for those who have loved martial arts movies. This legendary filmmaker and producer was often referred to as the Czar of Asian movies for his incredible contribution to Hong Kong and Chinese cinema. The Shaw Brothers Studios, founded by him, was churning out numerous hits encompassing all genres from drama, musical, comedy, horror, and action. However, movies with martial arts were probably their best works and appealed to audiences all over the world. It was instrumental in setting Hong Kong cinema and Chinese culture on a global stage. This talented visionary breathed his last in 2014, and we shall probably never see his like again. It is almost impossible to put together all the amazing works of Shaw Brothers Studios, but we have tried putting together the finest ones involving martial arts. Sit back and enjoy our tribute.
Before we go into our list, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click from you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you. Let's begin.
Five Elements Ninjas, aka Chinese Super Ninjas, 1982. Five deadly ninjas with fighting styles based on natural elements kill a noble kung fu master. A young martial artist who was his student vows to get revenge and is helped by a new teacher who excels in ninjutsu. Four other students who are experts in ninjutsu join him, and together they take on the mighty ninjas. But things are easier said than done because now they must counter the forces of earth, wood, water, fire, and gold to defeat the Five Elements ninjas. There is something special about the Chinese take on ninja stories, especially if they are directed by the veteran director Chang Che. He starts you off on a story that promises non-stop action from the word go. The first half an hour provides constant action sequences that are well choreographed and a treat to watch. When everyone fights with weapons and mass fighting scenes, it is just the right adrenaline rush for the viewers. The samurai sword fighting scenes also stand out amidst all the action. This movie is high on gore, with some scenes such as stepping on intestines going a bit too far. The final scene too is brutal and satisfying, as there is just too much action to take your eyes off the screen. Expect a bit of cheesiness and some moments that throw light on the low budget. If you are prepared to handle this, you are in for a thorough entertainer. Dirty Ho, 1979. In this fictional historical drama, the 11th Prince of Manchuria, Prince Wang, poses as a merchant to keep a low profile. When he comes across a simple thief named Ho Zhen, he takes a liking to him and employs him as his bodyguard. However, Ho doesn't take his job very seriously until the prince seems to be in some serious danger. When the risk of the prince being assassinated is too high, Ho trains hard to protect his master. One of the first things that you will notice about this film is how they portray the Manchu dynasty in a positive light, unlike most other Hong Kong films, who show them as barbaric invaders. This movie goes on to show that not all martial arts movies are mindless escapism with rampant violence. The depth in the storyline, the complex relationship between the prince and the thief, and many other aspects make sure that one takes this seriously. The fight choreography is pure art that you will be amazed by. The orchestrated camera and actors with their fluid movements make it a sheer joy to watch. In the absence of computer-assisted exaggeration, the editing and camera tricks are all the director had to pull it off. Gordon Liu stars in this film, and he is as smooth with the action as he is with the humorous moments. The scenes where he disguises his kung fu maneuvers to maintain anonymity are fun to watch. This Shaw Brothers film is both enjoyable and deep, a combination that you would rarely find. 5 Deadly Venoms, 1978. A dying kung fu teacher instructs one of his students to track down 5 of his ex-students. He had taught a special and unique style of kung fu to each of them. But now, he fears that the powers might be used for evil purposes. However, the teacher is not aware of the identity of these students, and it is up to his disciple to figure things out. He soon discovers that some of the ex-students are indeed teaming up with evil forces, and he doesn't know whom to trust. There is simplicity in the narrative of this movie that appeals to us. It is a nice lesson in morals, and the plot shows that the greedy and corrupt ultimately lose out. However, at no point does the movie become preachy. In fact, the director Chang Che does well to keep the mystery intact for much of the film. The numerous cat and mouse games of deception are going to leave you hanging at the edge of your seat. Unlike many of the action flicks from Hong Kong cinema, you would actually care when the characters die here. Death isn't made to look trivial and is sometimes gut-wrenching. Chang Che is known for being a talented visual stylist, and he puts together the best of his skills to get the right look for this film. The camera work is extremely sophisticated, and the impeccable edit work makes for a pleasing end result. We cannot praise the fight scenes enough. They play out like stories that are well crafted for thrills and art at the same time. This movie had the potential to inspire the likes of Quentin Tarantino, and if you want a kung fu thriller with the Hitchcockian suspense, you will enjoy this fine creation. The 36th Chamber of Shaolin, aka Shaolin Master Killer, 1978. The story focuses on some anti-Qing patriots who set up base in Canton and function undercover. However, a brutal attack by the Manchu forces kills several of them. A young man manages to flee, although his father is killed in the attack. He takes shelter in the Shaolin Temple, hoping to learn martial arts that might help him get his revenge. When his lessons are complete, he is all set to take on the Manchu forces. For a good understanding of this film, you ought to have a good knowledge of the historical background of the region and their political situation. You have to view these films from a Hong Kong film industry's perspective as a British colony. If you have braved the cultural differences to understand the plot, you will be delighted at what it has to offer. Directed and choreographed by Master Lau, this film has everything from action, drama, and some intense characters to root for. The action scenes are more about the discipline than the ruthless fighting. The director knows his way around the camera, and that shows in some outstanding shots that will occupy your inward eye for times to come. Gordon Liu doesn't disappoint as the star of the film and seems to perform the stunts effortlessly. The training scenes stand out as motivational and are remarkable to watch. This movie was a huge hit all over the world and is a must-watch for martial arts enthusiasts. House of Traps, 1982. The story of this film is exactly how the title suggests. There is a house that is rigged with several deadly traps for anyone who dares to enter. The catch is that there is a treasure in the house that lures a team of skilled fighters to try their luck. They venture inside and must deal with all the ingenious traps that could kill them. It's not just about brute strength and fighting skills, but also about using the brains right. House of Traps is a classic example of Chang Che's Venom movies and has the typical style of filming. There are multiple characters and you hardly have time to get introduced to them properly. The makers rely on the simplistic plot to drive home the point, and while this might seem cheesy for some, it does promise a lot of entertainment. There is a surprising lack of action in this movie, but that doesn't take away the tremendous tension on offer. The filming is somewhat in the comic book style, and even the costumes have been designed accordingly. There are some scenes in the film that are inventively gory, and these stand out as some of the nail-biting moments. The traps are extremely innovative, and the umbrella that masquerades as a large drill left us speechless. While this film offers a wonderful time, it could have worked better with a more concrete plotline.
Hey, sister!
The 8-Diagram Pole Fighter, 1983. This film centers around the Yang family, which is a loyal ally to the Imperial Army. However, one of their generals turns out to be disloyal and betrays the family to the opposing forces. A surprise ambush leaves the father and many others dead while 2 sons survive. This is regarded as one of the vintage kung fu classics, and for a good reason. The action buffs would drool over the overwhelming combats on offer. The groundbreaking fight sequences are staged with brilliance that you are bound to be awed as the viewer. A plot consisting of elements of treason, action, and intensity will immediately have your attention. It is said that the story is based upon some actual historical figures of China. For instance, the Yang family actually defended the northern borders for generations. The fierce combats are often a bit too violent, but you will be way too occupied with the incredible stunts to worry about anything else. Watch out for the final scene in particular. The dubbing isn't the best, but there isn't much choice for the Western viewer. The strong cast put together some impressive performances that combine with some decent direction to give you a gem of a martial arts movie. The Flying Guillotine, 1975. A new weapon has been developed by the Emperor's army. It is somewhat like a flying guillotine that can go a long distance and decapitate someone. The Emperor is paranoid about his position and uses this weapon to kill off anybody that he deems to be a threat. Although his guard, Mao Tong, was with him initially, he gets disgusted with these extremes and leaves the post to live a quiet life. However, his past life soon catches up, and he must face the flying guillotine to save himself. When a kung fu film stars Chen Huantai, it is usually a wonderful watch. And this one is no exception. The plot is innovative and manages to keep the thrill quotient high for the entire duration. The weapon developed is a mean machine with nefarious powers that can slice up the enemies. Ninjas are trained to use it, and the unsuspecting victims do not stand a chance. There are a lot of decapitations and brutal slaughters that are not recommended for the faint-hearted. Shaw Studios made smart use of their sets for this one, and even the costumes and designs stand out. You do have to wait for some time for the martial arts to begin, but once it does, there is no end to the entertainment. There might be some campy moments and the budgetary constraints might seem evident in some scenes. However, it is still a cut above the random martial arts movies with hardly any story. 5 Fingers of Death, 1972. A young martial arts student, Chi Hao, falls for his master's daughter. After his master fails to fight off a group of thugs, he sends Chi Hao to a superior master to learn the necessary skills. Now, Chi Hao can win the hand of his daughter only by defeating the local martial arts tyrant in an upcoming tournament. The superior master helps him with all the skills and teaches him the secret move, the Iron Fist. Can Chi Hao do the needful and win over his first love? For many people, this stands as one of the earliest martial arts hits. It started a craze for kung fu flicks in the USA and has a story that seems more serious than its courtesy of the dubbing, although it is an action comedy. There are several characteristics in this movie that went on to influence martial arts movies later in the day. The Spanish guitar background score, the competing martial arts schools, the jaw-dropping fight sequences are etched in the memories of those who had the opportunity to enjoy this. The production is wonderful, and the lights and camera work have their charm. The fights cannot be compared to the modern-day hits, but considering the times, they were pretty badass. Shaw Brothers dared to work with some content as early as the 1970s, and we reap the rewards today with a whole collection that followed.
入虎前翼，大风车，后。
Crippled Avengers, aka Return of the Deadly Venoms, or Mortal Kombat, 1978. An evil warlord frequently torments a quiet town with nobody to stand up to him. When all seems lost, 4 crippled victims team up to take on the oppressor. One of them is blinded while another has lost his legs. The third is mute and deaf. And the last one loses his sanity often. Despite their shortcomings, they band together to put up opposition. They use their disabilities to their advantage, but it's not an easy task to substitute for important strengths. For those who think that this movie is some kind of sequel to the 5 Deadly Venoms, you are grossly mistaken. Even with the same director and the actors, the story has no correlation whatsoever. However, this is still one of the best Venom movies that you will find out there. This fun and violent movie offers some mind-blowing action scenes that the die-hard fans of Kung Fu will thoroughly enjoy. As always, the dubbing adds some cheesiness to the movie, but it only becomes more fun. Chong Che brings out the best in every actor and adds some creativity in the combat sequences. When these crippled men incorporate weapons and fine acrobatics through repeated training, you are bound to root for them. There are some who consider this movie to be an influence on the movie Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Blood Oath. As long as you can handle some gory moments, you will enjoy this well-made martial arts movie.
I don't want you to die here, ruining my sacred chapel and my home.
Fists of the White Lotus, 1980. Sometimes the simplest of plots deliver the hardest of punches. The story for this movie is as simple as it gets. A monk has to fight against an evil priest named White Lotus. He trains hard to take up the challenge, and eventually, it is time for a final showdown. This movie is somewhat of a sequel to Executioners from Shaolin. Starring the likes of Gordon Liu and Kara Hui, the performance doesn't slip for one moment. The priest White Lotus is shown as one of the finest villains in Kung Fu history, and yet there are some hilarious moments associated with him. The creative slow motion and the detailed backdrops make for a picture-perfect moment. Even with a simple structure, there are some exceptional Kung Fu bouts that you will remember for times to come. The imaginative training sequences stand out as well. You might have watched tons of martial arts movies, but seldom will you come across something like this.
This is all the time we had for today's episode. We hope you guys liked it. It would be awesome if you guys can take some time to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to tell us which topic you want us to cover in the comment section. Have a fantastic day ahead and stay safe.
Yeah!